Hey man, we done got Dr. Alcorn in the building. So I'm sure once he goes on video, man, he'll be ready to get this thing started. Um, so we're definitely appreciative and thankful once again, man, for Dr. Alcorn, Dr. Antionne Alcorn, to grace us with his time and his presence today, man. We are so thankful for you, Dr. Antoine, and appreciate you coming back on the call, man. Hey, and that gift you got today, man, that mug was slamming, man. That looked good.
Yes, yes, I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
It just came about 30 minutes ago.
Oh
The
wow.
UPS guy delivered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that. Well, gentlemen, are y'all ready for me to get started?
Oh yeah.
We
Yeah.
ready.
All
If
right,
everybody can go on mute, man, make sure everybody's muted so it won't be any distractions, man. We would appreciate it.
all right. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you all for allowing me to come back and share this space with you. Um, Dr. Antoine Alcorn. I am a mental health therapist, author, speaker, and someone who is deeply passionate about just really helping people to heal, grow, and become emotionally in tune and healthier. So I really believe that we should every day be striving to evolve into a better version of ourselves daily. So, a large part of what I do is really helping individuals understand how trauma, pressure, things that they've experienced in life, adverse childhood experiences, how all of those life experiences shape the way we think, the way we respond, the way we connect and lead as adults. And so tonight, I just want to spend some time with you all. I'm not here to speak at you. I really want us to think together, to have conversations, to reflect together, and then just have an open dialogue that's really going to challenge all of us to grow as men, as leaders, as fathers, husbands, brothers, and as individuals. Uh, so tonight is not just about motivation, but really it's about understanding pressure honestly, and then what it does to us as men emotionally, mentally, in our relationships, and then internally. And so that those are the things we'll talk about tonight, just about resilience, how to adapt during life transitions. And I'm real big on emotional intelligence and what that means for us to get back up when life gets heavy for us. Uh, because all of us, we know how to survive pressure externally, but internally we are exhausted. And so that's what I want to lead in. We were all taught how to carry the pressure, but many of you like me was never taught how to process it. Would y'all agree with that? Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So most of us, we were taught, to keep going, stay strong, provide, don't complain, don't break down, don't cry, don't ask for help. We were taught all of those things, but nobody taught us as boys growing up, as young men, as teenagers. We were never taught how to recover emotionally. We were never taught how to regulate stress. We were not taught how to communicate pressure. We were not taught as young men, boys, how to adapt when life changes. And we were definitely not taught how to be emotionally responsible and healthy while we had to carry different responsibilities. Right. So, but here's the thing: when we talk about pressure, that often becomes our identity. For men, right? We identify based on pressure, right? So we were praised for endurance, for emotional awareness. We were praised to, and a lot of us we feel valuable only when we are producing. A lot of times as men, that's the only time when we really feel good about ourselves is when we are producing. Uh, and a lot of us, whether we admit it or not, we secretly fear being useless. So a lot of times when I'm doing marriage counseling, one of the things that will come up sometime is when that husband, that male, that significant other no longer feels useful in the relationship. Then that leads to us, we don't rest because we believe our worth is attached to our performance. Right? As men, we are competitive. And so we feel like our worth is attached to our performance. Right? While I'm going through this, at some point I will pause and ask questions. But if you have any input, any questions, please put them in the chat. Raise your hand and somebody let me know that there's a question there. Continuing on, so as men, a lot of us are exhausted uh, because when we function, we're still functioning in spite of, but nobody notices that. A lot of us, we sometimes are dealing with depression, but we're still productive. Some of us, we feel overwhelmed, but we're still showing up every day. We're doing what we need to do. We're taking care of our business. And because we continue to perform, our families think that we're okay. Our colleagues in the office, they think that we're okay because we're still performing and we're still showing up. But here's the key: functioning and healing are not the same thing. I think that's worthy of saying that one more time. Functioning and healing are not the same thing. Right? So let me ask the question. You can unmute yourself to answer, or you can put it in the chat there. So let's talk about it. What happened when we were growing up when we showed emotions?
I would start out by saying they were really told to, for me to suppress them. Hey, boy, what you doing crying? So they weren't received well in my family.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't nurtured.
I would say not validated.
All right. Not validated. All right.
Emotions was complaining.
Showing emotions was complaining. Okay.
Showing emotions were ignored.
Okay. Ignored.
So,
All
so,
right.
so toughness was the way to go. Anything less than that was that of a sissy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Old word.
we didn't know how to control our emotions. We either acted out of anger, frustration, and just didn't know how to control our emotions.
All right.
Show
Showing
no
emotion.
emotion.
Go ahead, sir.
Show no emotions.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think that happens because it's like he just said, not showing you emotion because you didn't think no one cared whether you brought it up or not. So you kind of like internalized everything on your own. And when you didn't have anybody to talk to, you just tried your best to get through it on your own. So, not speaking was a real big problem. Big
Not
problem.
speaking. Yeah.
Not
Okay.
speaking.
All right. Good.
Showing
All
your
right.
emotions was a sign of weakness.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right, good. Some very good feedback. Uh, I agree with all of that. And as a result of that, when we were young and we started to show emotions and we heard some of those things, what did we do? We shut down. We stopped talking. We stopped expressing ourselves. We started to hold everything in. We started to suppress. So growing up, we didn't talk about things. We didn't talk about when things we held it in. We become adults, we get in relationships, we get married. Our wives, our significant others is like, what's going on? He don't talk. Like, well, we were never really taught how. We were not taught how to express ourselves or express emotions. And so many, many boys, they learn that anger is acceptable, but sadness is weakness. So inadvertently, what a lot of us done, silence became our masculinity. And we assumed that the emotional shutdown was our strength, which led most of us, not all of us, but most of us, we went into survival mode, right? And that is what really helped shape our personality, right? And what many men learn emotionally, uh, we learn solve problems but don't express pain. And one of my biggest fault is this one here: handle it yourself. Right? Feeling like I have to do everything myself. Right? I was talking to a young man the other day, and he was sharing with me that he doesn't share anything because he feels like when he's vulnerable, it's going to be weaponized against him. So he won't say anything, right? Uh, we also learned that emotional needs make us weak. If we struggle, then we hid that. We had moments, all of us had moments in our lives at some point where we broke. But what we done was we hid that and we recovered quietly. Right? We found a way to recover. And so a lot of us, we wonder, and society wonders why so many men will implode under pressure later on in life. Right? So we're talking about pressure and understanding pressure in men, right? So on the flyer there, it said that pressure itself is not always destructive. Right? I agree with that. I agree that pressure can build discipline. It can build character. It can build leadership. But then it went on to say, but unmanaged pressure is dangerous. Right? What becomes when we don't manage that pressure? What happens? Let's talk about that. What does that turn into? What does that look like?
Anger, frustration.
Anger, frustration,
Depression,
depression,
addiction.
addiction. Yeah, yeah.
And
I go
maybe
back
Regret.
to like you look for the pacifier.
Right. Yeah.
regret.
Yeah. Regret. Yes. Yes, sir.
Lack of
So
confidence, lack of confidence in
Oh,
yourself, and
yeah. Right.
not being able to push through. Does it
Right. Yeah.
kind of shut you down?
Yep. Yep. We start to isolate. We withdraw emotionally. sometimes it can turn into control issues, right? So, a lot of men, sometimes we just don't know that we are emotionally overwhelmed because we think that stress is it only counts if we stop functioning, right? So what we do is we start to normalize the suffering, right?
Right.
It stunts growth too.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Stunts your growth. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was
So,
gonna
so
say physically, cause problems, high blood pressure, heart attacks, all that kind of stuff. So your health can be greatly affected by it.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I would say pressure unregulated will find an outlet, and a lot of times that outlet is not representative of who you truly are, but it becomes the mask that people see you behind.
Mm.
Yes. Right. Yeah. A lot of times, we've been carrying pressure for so long that we don't even realize how heavy it is anymore.
Mm,
No.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
I put in the chat, um, what habits are hurting men's future? These habits that we carry, what are some of the habits that are hurting men from growing into the men that they need to be or should be?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, as we've been talking, it's is that us viewing vulnerability as a weakness, right?
Yep.
And so we won't talk to each other. Think about how many times, we as men, we say to one another, "Hey, man, you good?" And our response, "Man, I'm good."
Right.
And on the inside, we're cracking, we're falling apart, right? So I think that sometimes just that habit of us not wanting to be vulnerable is a barrier to us really growing and evolving into the men that we need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a personal question. You can answer it whether you choose to or not, but it's really designed to be self-reflective. Uh, what pressure are you carrying silently?
Hey, Dr. Alcorn, I want to say that since this group has started, hopefully a lot of men can say that they're not carrying those things silently anymore. Um, just as far as something, as far as what I've been going through for these last couple of weeks, having this group has given me an outlet to be able to not carry those things silently and to have, a group to open up and to tell about those things and to talk about those things, so I won't be suffering in silence. And that's, what one of the main things, one of the main reasons this group was started was to help men not suffer in silence. So hopefully we've done a better job of that. And hopefully, the testament of the men that's on the call, they can say, you know what, man, I've stopped suffering in silence.
Yes, sir. Thank you for sharing, Coach T. Would anyone else like to share?
I think the most recent thing that happened to me was losing my son. And it's not that I'm suffering in silence. It's that I don't like keep repeating it to everybody that I talk to.
Yes, sir.
Doc, that makes sense.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I know the brothers are all there, but yet and still it's a suffering. I'm not in silence, but yet and still I need to get get a validation from my brothers that I'm okay.
Yes,
You know,
sir. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? For me, sometimes what I carry silently is that pressure to lead because of the nature of my work and what I do in my community. I'm called on a lot, right? And so sometimes I silently carry that pressure to lead, finding that balance of feeling like I have to always be there uh, when I get those calls.
I would say a big one for all of us is probably we all look at stages. We all expected to have the right answer. Work, marriage, fatherhood, brothers. I don't know. It's like a day in day. I always feel show up to work. I gotta have the right answer. Come home, feel like that's one that we live with forever. But the more responsibilities or marriage or whatever, it's like you feel 24/7, you gotta have the right answer. Or
right?
you're that pressure of having the right answer.
Mm. Yeah,
It's a good
yeah,
one.
Yeah, I think we all kind of have that pressure of just fearing to fail. We don't want to fail ourselves. We don't want to fail, our families. Depending on what type of work you do, especially if you're in leadership, that that stress of just wanting to make sure you're making the right decisions, leading your team in the right direction. It's a lot of pressure.
right. Yeah, yeah.
We put it
You
on
know,
ourselves. A lot of times, the people who follow us really don't. But other times we'll put that pressure on ourselves.
well, yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
for me, grief um, of lost ones, those voices that we grew up with, our elders. My grandmother was one, and even I think it's been 2 years now, but still the grief comes in waves. Uh, you asked
Right.
about the a question on was it so how are we received with emotion? Like I remember hearing her say, don't you dare cry. I will give you something to cry about.
Right.
you
Right.
know, I can hear
Right.
that. I can still hear that in
Right.
my head, and I
And
miss
get it.
her. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
miss her. Man, I miss her. She's a mean son of a bitch, but boy, did I miss her. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so was someone else getting ready to say something?
I was gonna say his grandmother said what my mother would say. You
Right.
cried, I give you something to cry for.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think she was mean. I think she was meaning, I didn't get you yet.
Yeah.
I didn't get you yet. You know, you deserve what you got. And I did it because I love you. And she
Mm-hmm.
would talk to me and tell me what I did. And I think that's love. But missing a loved one is a hard thing. And all of us have experienced loss and had health problems, most of us. It's hard. And it is good to be able to talk to someone. I've been talking to Coach True for years, but I'm really happy with this group. And he said he was gonna do it. And I'm a big supporter. And I miss some because my job is very competitive and very impromptu. I'm an engineer. I can't just leave if I'm working on something. You have to see it to fruition. And sometimes I'm not able to get on, but he sent me this one early and I made the vision. I'm glad I made it. God bless all you brothers and thank you. Thank you, Mr. Antoine, for all of this. Continue,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. When we think about the pressure sometimes that we carry, and then if there's no emotional outlet, uh, sometimes what looks like anger is that we are actually exhausted emotionally. Sometimes what looks like laziness is we are really burnt out. And then when it comes to detachment, where we detach ourselves, that's really because we have collapsed emotionally. Right? And so when we think about this pressure, talked about it's not always bad, but pressure can either create diamonds or explosions. Now, what's the difference? The difference is, do we have support? Do we have emotional awareness? And do we have the ability to adapt? Right. So when we handle that pressure correctly, it's going to produce maturity in us. It's going to produce wisdom, patience, endurance, even humility, right? It helps us to develop leadership, increase our emotional intelligence. Right? But when we handle that incorrectly, then it's going to be destructive. It's going to lead to emotional shutdown, bitterness, rage. Start to feel hopeless, and we isolate ourselves. Right? So someone asked the question, how do we identify pressure in others? Yeah. I always say that when we really know someone, we have a relationship with them, a friendship with them, we've been around them for a while and we've gotten to know them. One of the ways that we can identify pressure in others is, I think that there's going to be some type of change. There's going to be some type of behavior change, right? Whether that's a loss of interest, a lack of motivation. We're just not interested in doing those things that we used to do. We just don't have the motivation to engage in those things that used to be fun and exciting for us. I feel like that there's always going to be some type of behavioral change. And I'll pause and let you guys give some feedback on that.
I think a lack of motivation becomes for a season. I pretty much feel that it's just kind of normal for us to embrace like what I'm going through all at once. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a man carrying everything for your family and everybody else that is involved in it. And then there's a piece that kind of surpasses all understanding that you have to come to by yourself. And that's the piece that your family is looking for. I don't think if we rush out and do things without emotionally solving ourselves, knowing that like Rick and those guys love me and Phil and my church people, they love me. But I think there's a period of time, there's a grace period of time that you have to go through. And I think it produces growth. It produces growth. It produces patience. It produces understanding. And it helps you to explain to other people about how to process what you've gone through.
Right. Yes, sir.
That makes sense, though?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Antoine, I think at times that I've had this pressure on me, I didn't want to talk about it because sometimes, like, it made me feel as if I was losing faith in God, and I didn't want anybody to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've been there. I think most of us may have experienced that. Sometimes we may have been told that if we were not handling things correctly, if we felt weak or whatever,
Yeah.
sometimes in some places they equated that as us having weak faith. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Antoine, it's natural to take a minute to get yourself together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's that rest period.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and we need that. Sometimes it is correct, it is healthy, it is proper for us to disengage and then re-engage, right? Yeah. We need that space.
I was disengaged today. I went and played golf for the first time by myself. I
Hmm.
was terrible. I was disengaged. I couldn't play golf for nothing in the world, man. But it was great. It was the peacefulness was good, and
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
thinking about the call tonight and thinking about my family and my friends. But as
Hmm.
far as concentrating on something else and try to be dominating something, that wasn't happening.
Yes, sir. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
But the
wasn't
good
happening.
thing is that you were able to get by yourself and experience some peace and
Yeah,
quietness. Yeah.
ab-
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
ab-
So
Is,
let's
is there a healthy amount of time or unhealthy amount of time that you kind of push back like that, where you take a break from everything?
yeah, so that's really going to be subjective, to the person. I think we all know what our limits are. We all know what the amount of time we may need.
mhm.
So I always say, take the time that you need, right? Because we know ourselves better than others. We know what our limits are. Um, so whereas you may recover in 2 days, it may take me 5 days, right? So I think that's going to be based on the individual.
Mhm.
Uh,
I think we all should go to solitude at a point in time in stress and grief and sorrow. It's just how do you get out of that solitude?
Time,
right. Yeah, yeah.
time, time is
I
healing.
right. Yeah, right. I went on a retreat, and we were in the wilderness, and we were all in our own little cabins. There were no radios, no TVs, no pictures on the wall, none of that. And we had to leave our cell phones uh, up front. And so I was on this retreat for a week.
Mm.
It took me about a day and a half to finally be able to relax because I was going through withdrawals. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have a TV. I didn't have the iPad.
Right,
I didn't
right.
have any of that. Right.
Yeah, it was great
And
for you
so,
though.
yeah, it really took me about a good day and a half to really start to calm down.
Hmm.
Right.
And I think we all need that at times. Uh,
Dr. Antoine, you first said it took 2 days, and then the more you talked, you said it took a day and a half. Is it a day and a half or is it 2 days?
Day and a half, 2 days. Yeah.
Look, it all felt the same.
I was gonna say it felt like eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but we all need that though, where we, sometimes where we just disconnect from the world and just really sit with ourselves, right? And then re-engage, right? So let's kind of shift a little bit and talk about being resilient. And I think that resiliency is misunderstood a lot. Some people think that when we talk about being resilient, they feel like that means that nothing affects you,
Hmm.
right? And that's not what it is. Resilience means that life has hit me, and I mean hit me hard. But in the midst of that, I did not lose myself,
Yep.
right? I bent, but I did not completely break. I was able to bounce back. And so when we talk about being resilient, we're talking about emotional recovery. Uh, but not just recovering. I often ask myself, what did you learn during the process? Right? What is this teaching you? What are you gaining from this? Right? It's one thing to go through something or have an experience, but if we never really learn from that, if we don't take any lessons from that, then chances are we may keep repeating the same things. Right? So we really have to learn from it. We have to, learn from our pain. Right? Um, I've done this talk that I've done this talk several times, um, from the subject that my pain propelled me into my purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I really embraced it, when I learned from it, it's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's the reason why I'm in the career that I'm in, right? So what did we learn from it, right? So being resilient, that simply means that we are getting back to being healthy. And we're learning how to stay grounded even under pressure, not allowing those hardships to permanently define us. Right? So a resilient man is still going to feel pressure, but he just learns how to recover faster. Right?
Yeah.
And that recovery, it matters because some men will stay emotionally stuck for years. Then unresolved pain, right? When we don't deal with it, I always say, got to deal with it or else it's going to deal with me. And so when that unresolved pain is going to start to affect our relationships. It's going to accumulate when we ignore it. When we avoid it, it's going to delay the healing process. And then, as men, when we are stuck in that pride, it's really going to prolong the suffering, right? Now, none of us can stop life from happening, right? We cannot stop the pressure from coming, but what we can do is shorten the amount of time that pressure is controlling us. That's where we get into that adaptability. And I think that this is one of the strongest things as men that we can learn is how to adapt without feeling like we failed. Right? I've had moments where I missed the mark and I felt like a failure, right? Or things happened in my life and I felt like a failure. But when I shifted my mindset to how do I adapt in this situation? And sometimes that's difficult for men because a lot of us, we tie our identity to stability. So if we feel like we're losing stability, right, that's an issue. So think about it. We struggle to adapt when there's our careers change.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
That job closes down. Right?
Absolutely.
That relationship ends. The children grow up. Finances change. Health changes. Our purpose change. Or the environment change. Sometimes we struggle to adapt. And so what happens when we don't adapt or learn how to adapt, we start to suffer because life is evolving. But emotionally, what we're trying to do is we're still trying to operate from that outdated version of ourselves. Right? So we have to evolve with the times. We have to change with the times. Right? And we should always be striving to evolve into a better version of ourselves. Otherwise, we're just going to keep trying to operate from that outdated version of ourselves.
True. You know, I found for myself to combat that kind of stuff is serving, helping others,
Mm-hmm.
giving of myself. Um, Even with this group, I found strength with this group because of the fact that it's a brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
That accountability. So you recognize those things that give you strength to combat the things that may, present a weakness. The stronger you are, you can combat that thing that challenge you. But I have truly found that to be, whether serving community, pouring into younger people, just helping. It's
Right.
a strength. I can't explain it like no other. When you can pour out, and it's ironic that this group is called Pour, but
Mm-hmm.
the more you can pour out, um, you can grow as a man.
Right.
You can grow as a man, and I think I've seen that with not only myself. Not to say that, you know, we can always grow. There's not never a point where you cannot grow. But I've seen that with several guys within this group. Just see the strength change, and
Mm-hmm. Right.
that's just what it's been for me. Just finding opportunities to give of myself, and I tell Phil all the time. I say, it's not ours. You can't take it with us. You know,
Right.
so just to share and give out builds that resilience too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't understand how much you have to give until you're able to find a place to give it to. You
True.
know, you don't realize you really don't know. Especially when you're just doing everything on your own. And I go back to what Brian was saying earlier about making family decisions, and you got to make a decision for your family, and you don't know what the return on investment is going to be. But at that time, you got to stand tall and make a decision, and then you hoping that it works. Because you don't have anybody you can talk to, you don't have nobody you can collaborate with, and then you're just doing everything on your own. And and I think that when that's that alpha in every man, you know what I'm saying? But having a place where you don't have to be an alpha and just be someplace that, let me just put this out here to my brotherhood. Let me get a good God-filled based response, based upon what I'm thinking, because it's okay to put what you're thinking out there and having brothers in this kind of a forum to be able to say, you know what, I've been through that. I haven't been through that, but let me give you my perspective. And I think it changes the whole thing. I know I listened to Rick, we talked about it. Like I said, I think that in our prayers, when you're out there and when you come to these type of things, saying you ask Father to put you around brothers that are not going to judge you, going to give you hold you accountable, not going to be yes people. They're going to say to you, hey man, I don't think you should do that. And you walk away knowing that they really have your best interest at heart. I think that's where you happen. I think, the creation of this group four gives you that foundation. So I think that, when Rick says that, you're trying to find out what can you do, with the tools you have to make other people better. I just think that, when you start looking at that and you have a place to go with it, it makes you feel so much better. And now you don't feel like you're alone. Okay. Because a lot of times now, as we always say on this group, we as a brotherhood, we've made a create to ourselves. We have no excuse. We can get to one of us to talk about what we need to do before we have to make those real big decisions sometimes. So it's great to know that you can pour yourself into an opportunity to a group of brothers that really, really are willing to share the insights, from a biblical standpoint, a daily standpoint, a physical standpoint. It's just the foundation spectrum is really allowed for you to be able to do that. And I think that makes us all equal, because you have that opportunity to share your thought process and your things with people. I totally agree with what Rick just said, serving and giving as much as you can of yourself when you have the opportunity to do that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
For me, in adapting and when failing, especially under pressure, And it happens in those moments where you make the call, it's wrong. You screwed up. What my father's left with me as far as wisdom is every time that I had to, do the report, he's not only my father, he's also my boss. He said, Gregory, the most expensive thing in life is an education. And for me, knowing that, okay, I just learned something. I learned how not to do something. And it has helped me recover quicker. Say, hey, yeah, I blew it. We didn't make money here, but I learned, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
And it helped me move on. That's helped me so much. That, and then uh, as a kid growing up in church, those hymns, the worship. Not to be overly Christian, but it's like when you're in the grind, that just helps pacify um, the struggle.
Right.
So between those two things, making the call, accepting you screwed up, and for me, the adapting is education is expensive.
Yeah. 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 And the thing about being able to adapt, life is about seasons, right? Nothing stays the same. Uh, and so the old version of you may not survive the next season of your life if you're not willing to adapt. Right. So you have to think that in terms of where's God leading you in your life? What does he have in store for you the next season of your life? Right. Will you be able to adapt to what he's doing in your life and where he's leading you?
That's good. That's good because I'm sitting here and I heard exactly what you guys just said. Adaptability for me when I was a principal, I learned the greatest lesson is when it came to I let other people lead. And I had a chance to sit back and say, you don't have to run everything, man. They're smart, just as smart as you are. Now you go and use your gifts what God has given you with families and children. You don't have to do the English and the math. I couldn't do it anyway because they were smarter than what I was. But just adaptability for me in that arena was just letting other people lead, man, and sometimes horning in on what God really called you to be. And that's what happened to me when I was a leader. Great conversation, man. I hear what Greg said too, man. That's good stuff. Really good, great conversation.
Hey, Doctor, when you was talking about resilience and now adaptability, it really pricked my heart. Resilience to me is the bounce back ability that we would have as individuals. And then you if you're really resilient, you will always find a way to adapt. You may knock me down, but you can't keep me down. You may push me out, but I'll find a way to get back in. And it's amazing that Carl just mentioned the gift. See,
Yeah.
when God gives you a gift, no matter where you are, no matter what you do, no matter who's watching, the gift will make room. He'll make
Um,
room, and the gift will shine.
yes.
I have been in many leadership positions throughout my life, from athletics to school to art clubs to ministry, manufacturing, logistics, and entrepreneurship. And it never fails that my gift of leading men and leading people has
Hallelujah.
always blossomed to the top some kind of way. So no matter, this is very therapeutic for me.
Good.
Uh, and what I've encountered recently, But the one thing I really want to say that I'm really getting out of this conversation is the fact that we as men will always find a way to do what pleases our maker, and in doing that, it pleases us. That's kind of a quick synopsis of what
Yeah.
Rick just said. And the pausing between the different seasons gives us time to recalibrate, to refocus, to
Yes.
refire.
Yes.
Yeah. So, man,
Yes.
this is a strong conversation. Thank you guys for allowing me to attend tonight.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. I
Hey,
see that
Dr.
there's a
Antoine.
hand up.
Yep, a hand from Phil Davis Jr.
Come on, Phil Jr.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
Good.
I had to share, so I've really been listening at night. First of all, I just want to say, Doctor, hey, I can appreciate you coming on the call, man. This is one of those sentimental spots for me, just because this is something I do really enjoy seeing other Black men be in mental health spaces. It's definitely, I'm in the middle of about to change careers from education to nursing, and I've always told a lot of people there's two places where I feel like we need more Black men, and that is in education far as elementary, the lower levels, but also mental health. So I just want to go ahead and say that. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
But I'm the young cat in the group. But I kind of have a little twist on it. So when I think of we was talking about resilience and pressure, but also how you kind of bounce back from that. And I've had an opportunity to really not have a very extremely challenging childhood. I had both my parents that did a great job raising me. We had a lot of good conversations, and I was able to kind of express myself in some healthy ways. Now, of course, consider my parents were raised in a different generation where they didn't have the ability to respond and really express. I was blessed enough to have that opportunity to express. But then on the flip side of that, because it was new for them, it was new for me, I didn't know how to ask questions once I expressed. So it then turned into silence. And as I got older, especially the season I'm in, I look at resilience and bounce back from the perspective of like I was accustomed to expressing and expecting pressure. And then now God has me as a season where it's like things are coming easier because I'm trusting more in Him. And my first reaction is a brace. I kind of think of it because I'm a visual learner. I look at it in the perspective of like, if I'm about to bench press, you want to be relaxed. Going into, I'm about to pick this weight up. But so I had to run across. But if I'm flexed at the beginning of that list, I'm not gonna get the ball. I'm not gonna be able to bend. I'm not gonna be able to bring that weight down and put it back up. So I have to have some flexibility. So now I say all of that to say, as I'm growing into this my walk and I'm getting older, I've have to learn the opposite of like when to relax, when to be okay, like knowing that I don't have to be guarded. I don't have to expect the pressure. Like it's gonna come easy because one, I'm in alignment. Two, like I'm good. I'm bearing good fruit. It's not a pruning situation. And then last week we had a conversation. I was sharing everybody that I've been reading Isaiah, and of course I kind of went through an Exodus and now I'm in Isaiah and really looking at Revelation, seeing a giant correlation. And it hits to a point where it's like I've always known Jesus as like our Savior. I hear that a lot. You see it a lot. But Isaiah, like I really see it differently now, where it's more of like a gardener. Like it mentions, he's the vine and we're the branches. It's essentially like he's coming back, he's pruning the bad fruit, and then he's only keeping the good fruit. And so me saying that is like now I'm in the opposite season of it to where I don't have to be, I gotta plant every seed, I gotta expect it to grow, water, I don't have to do all that. I'm simply just have to receive, like listen and receive and go. And so it's kind of like a
Good.
situation where I'm relaxed. So I just wanted to share that because I love what everybody's saying. But I also think there's the other side to it. Like that sometimes when we don't get pressure, we didn't search for it. And we sometimes make the journey, we make a situation more than it may have to be when it's like, it came, it passed, you made it, or you're good.
Right.
So I just wanted to share that because that was something that just hit for me that I was like, oh, that's good.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
Thank you, Phil, for sharing, man. And I really appreciate that analogy you used about the bench press because it captures something psychologically and spiritually at the same time. Muscles that stay flexed all the time, they fatigue faster, right? So the body was designed for tension and release, not permanent bracing. And so we need both. That's where that adaptability, that's where that being able to relax and those things that come in, right? And so, and one of the things is that when we're always guarded, when we start to feel peace, it feels a little bit unsafe. Right?
Hmm.
And so then, that's where that adaptability comes in. Now, the thing about adaptability, I think that a lot of times we struggle with when we start to have to adapt. That means we're making changes, right? We may have to make some changes. So the question is something I want us to think about when we talk about adaptability. What if growth requires grieving who you used to be?
Mm, yeah, that's deep.
Ask that question one more time. I want to make sure I heard that right.
You heard it
What
right.
uh, what if growth requires grieving who you used to be?
Mm. I don't think it's a what if.
I was thinking the
I,
same
I,
thing.
I,
It's not.
I don't
You
think
do.
it's a what
I
if.
agree.
I think you go through that, even if you don't know it. Um, Me personally, I think I went through it in 2019. And, I didn't realize it until 2 years later when we started doing man to man. And I started linking up with Carl, Phil, and Jay to realize that I went through that, you know, and I was trying to hold on to who I used to be and not embracing where he was leading me to. But when I finally realized it, I started to pour more into what was in front of me versus what I was leaving behind. And
Yeah,
thank God I did. And
yeah,
thank God that, organically that to bring these other two brothers into my life, Jerome and Carl, because it opened up some doors. It allowed me to release. So I truly believe we actually do grieve who we used to be.
yes, sir. Thank you for sharing. And for some people, that grieving process, grieving who they used to be, is very challenging. It's very difficult, which is why some people will go back to what they once were
Man,
because what they once were is more comfortable than
There
actually
you go.
going through
Yeah.
that growth
man.
process.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Hey,
Yeah.
Doc, young
TJ.
TJ has his hand raised. Want to point him
TJ.
out.
Yes, sir, TJ.
What up, fellas? Immediately when you asked that question, I heard it. I thought back to like when I used to take care of a ton of plants, right? And sometimes when those plants start dying, then you got to cut off that old part in order for it to continue growing even bigger.
Talking about your
Oh
man.
boy.
You know what I
Boy.
mean?
Yes, sir.
And then that
Good,
old
TJ.
part decomposes and helps feed it to grow even bigger. So absolutely.
That's
Yes,
good,
sir.
man.
Good stuff, TJ.
Very insightful, TJ.
Yes, sir. Pruning the old and bringing in the new. There's nothing
Hey,
wrong with that, TJ. Great, great analogy. And just a
hey,
little bit about
Hobbs, I think we just gained one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hobbs, I think we just gained one.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Good
Hey,
analogy, TJ.
Big
Big
Mike
Mike.
got his hand up.
Hey, what's up? What's up, brothers? Hey,
All
Dr.
right.
Acorn, thank you for being on again, bro. It's good listening to you. Thank you for your insight, your info. It's very, very great. But when me, when you asked the question, if I had to grieve the person I used to be, we all think about who we used to be. But as for me, I wouldn't say that I'm grieving it because I've become a better person. When I look at who I used to be, that person right there, nah, he had nothing. You know, he had no direction. Even though I felt like I had direction, but I really didn't. But up to a month ago, I even more felt much better about the man that I'm becoming now because I'm becoming more godly led, as before I wasn't. So I'm actually celebrating the person that I am and saying, hey, that old Michael, I'm glad he ain't in me no more because he was destructive. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mike, that's awareness right there, Mike. That's growth because adaptability, it has to start with honesty,
Mm.
right?
I think
Um,
Dante has his hand up too.
Yeah, y'all please excuse the black screen. I look at the phone all day long for work and my eyes are just tired. But
Understood.
that grieving the old person for me, it's not necessarily grieving. It's more or less surrendering to someone new, someone who I can become. And then it's also that vulnerability of being someone that you're not used to being and fearing, what can happen from others by being someone new, if that makes sense to anybody.
yes, sir.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Oh, okay. So for me, that's for the past 23 years, that's what it's been all about for me. Just letting go of the old me, embracing the new me. And it's been a constant thing. And it's like the more I become this new person, the less I'm the old person.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody said it, that comfortability, you want to revert back because you're not liking how other people make you feel because you're this new person. And for me, that's what I struggle with because now it's like I'm this new person. So the new person to me is I'm this nice, vulnerable person. And the old person was like, nah, I ain't having it. You ain't
Right.
taking advantage of me, that kind of thing. So at times I feel weak. But on the flip side of that, when I think about hindsight to the person who I used to be, before I was that person, I was already this new person. The new person was in me.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't mind being nice and vulnerable because I didn't care, because that's who I already was. So
Mm-hmm.
some of that is basically going back to who I used to be before I was the I ain't having it type of person because that's what I had to be growing up.
Right.
So it's really not grieving, like I said. For me, it's letting go. It's surrendering to somebody that I really wasn't and embracing somebody who I really am.
Right. Yeah. Good. Real good perspective. Yeah.
All
Um,
right. Next question came in from Daryl Roberts, got his hand up, and then we're gonna go to oh, it was somebody else that had their hand. Jerome, I thought he had his hand up. But Daryl, what you got?
All right. The
Daryl, you with
Lord,
us? Oh, okay.
the Lord has taught me about seasons. And there are many people who are not about anymore because it's not their season. But Coach True, you and I have gone through seasons, and the Lord has always been there, always. But there are people in my life that I don't see, I don't talk to, I think about them. It was a season, and God preaches seasons when you learn, seasons when you lose. But loving Him, there will be always good seasons. And the Lord keeps those in your life and puts those in your life. He won't surround you. I had a great childhood. Great. I had two parents, Christians. I was the prodigal, but they never left. And now my mother and my father have three sons who are degreed, doing well in corporate America, and not in felonies. But you can be alone when the Lord loves you, right? Because He's going to put you with those that He wants you to. Coach came to see me when my son passed, and we celebrated. And I'm just letting you know about a good one that you got in your life and seasons, gentlemen. The Lord has seasons for, and as we get older, if we follow Him, our seasons get better and better because we believe more. We know where He's brought us from. So I listen more than I talk. And I want you brothers to know you brothers are all on the right track. I just want you to know the Lord is blessing right now. And I'm honored to be on this call. Thank you, Coach True. Thank you,
Yeah,
Minister.
man.
Continue.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. We got a next question for from Minister Johnny Walker.
Mr. Walker.
Jerome was before me.
Oh, did he come back? You came back on. Okay. Come on, Jerome.
I just want to just go back to we talked about, going back to being the way we used to be. I think Phil said something to me a long, long time ago when I first met him about, how we lust for certain things. And most of the time we talk about the opposite person of the man. Well, when you start talking about giving yourself up and giving yourself to the righteous side of him, you always have in the back of your mind. I can always go back to my go-to. I think I talked about the other day, that comfort zone. But when you really submit and you give yourself to it and you give it a chance, then you recognize the fact that, man, you don't lust and long for the things you used to do in the past. And I think this is a great segue because I know me and Phil had a conversation. This was a long time ago. We had a conversation about, you know, leaving the things behind in the past and just moving forward. And I think when you move forward, you get the understanding of the fact that, man, you know what? There are people in our lives that we had to let go. Okay, we still know who they are and we know what they're about. We can still have a relationship, but it's just not the same relationship
Right.
because what you have done is you've now committed yourself to him in a new way of doing things. It's actually the right way of doing things that you never knew about. Now all of a sudden that shifts, like, well, I want more of what I'm doing versus what I had in the past. So I just think that when you continue to do that, you know, you don't even think about what kind of man you was in the past because this is where you're supposed to be aligned. Your mental capacity is different. You're actually enjoying what you're doing. And then at the same time, too, you have a bunch of brothers around you that are going to actually hold you accountable because you've already poured out what you've been doing in your past to them. Because you're not vulnerable anymore. It just becomes a conversational piece, and you say to them, "Hey, help me continue to get through this." And when you look around, the lust you have for who you was before is not there anymore. Okay. And even if you run up on the people you dealt with in the past, it's a very quick conversation because you don't want to give them the opportunity to get you to come back to what you used to do before. So I just think that it's great. Like Phil, like Rick said earlier in closing, he talked about and the grieving process about what you did in the past. You will do that as long as you don't have anybody else you can have hold you accountable on this journey. So, and this platform of pour allows you to pour yourself out. And once you get it out, people are not analyzing you badly; they're analyzing you for the good. And I think that's something that we learned in Man to Man when we first met. And and I think, and I don't know if Phil remembers the conversation. It was vivid. Me and him had a conversation one day on the phone, and we were just talking about that. But that was early in my process too. So I thought that was really good when Rick brought it up and you talked about it, Dr. Antoine, about the grieving piece of your past, because sometimes you will go back to your go-to if you don't believe what you're doing in the moment. And I think the moment is more important. Once you understand and start believing in the moment, then you're like, man, I'm not going back nowhere near what I used to do, man. So, and it's a great feeling to know that you can get catapulted with a group of brothers in your life to make sure that you're not doing it the wrong way. So I think that's a
Amen.
huge piece, huge piece.
All right. Appreciate that, Jerome. Johnny Walker. Yes, sir. What you got for us?
So I see growth and grievance or grieving. I'm sorry, a little bit different. And when Dr. Antone put the question out there, what came to me basically was this. There's temporary growth and then there's permanent growth. And I think with permanent growth, and I'm speaking for Johnny Walker, there is grieving. And the grieving is the fact that I keep my eye on the bullseye to not take a step backward and be the person in the prior stage, the prior life that I've graduated from through growth. Let me give
Amen.
you an example. Let me give you an example. My father was never really with me in my life. Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat, that's where he made his home. And I had determined in my life that I would never be like my daddy.
Yeah.
Right? So my wife and I have gone through a divorce. All right. And when I divorced her for stupid stuff, I realized how valuable she was. And I begged this woman to take me back. I was on Boys to Men, Bended Knees. That song was for me. Begged this woman to take me back because I couldn't walk out of her life or my children's life as my father did to us. So when I look at where I've grown from in the different stages, when I say the grieving is just like a scalp, right? And if you keep peeling it back, you keep returning, it never heals. It's always a sore. It's always visible. You always feel it. But if I can look back and say, I truly have grown from the prior guy to the current guy, then the scab at some point begins to heal, the blemish begins to disappear, and then I feel like that permanent growth is what has been manifested in my life.
Amen.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Good,
Amen.
good. Yeah. So as I go into the last part of this, just talking about the adaptability, being able to adapt, grieving the old version of ourselves, evolving into a better version of ourselves. And I saved this part for last because I think it's very needful. Um, so as men, we survive some hard environments. We can build businesses, we can lead teams and do all of that, but a lot of us struggle with expressing emotions, communicating hurt, building emotional intimacy. So that's why emotional intelligence matters. And so it's not a weakness, It's that emotional self-management under pressure, right? And so emotionally intelligent men recognize emotions early, communicate effectively, regulate reactions, adapt faster, maintain relationships better. Um, and a lot of times in the past, a lot of men just don't know what they feel until they explode. Many men were only taught one emotional language, and that was anger. Right? As we talked earlier, we were not allowed to express growing up, but normally the anger, the toughness, the aggression, yes, right. So many men become fluent in anger, but we are emotionally illiterate everywhere else. And so that's why I often say strength is not never feeling an emotion. That's not what strength is. Strength is allowing yourself to feel what you feel, but not allowing the emotion to control your decisions. And so that's why it's important that we increase our emotional intelligence, and we become emotionally responsible, uh, because we need to be able to be emotionally present in our homes, for ourselves, with our children, for our significant others. Um, and so a healed man is not a man who never needs support. It's a man who no longer thinks support makes him weak. Right? A healed man is not a man who never needs support. It is a man who no longer thinks support makes him weak. And so when we increase our emotionally and we increase our emotional awareness, it's easy for us to pivot. Then we can say, it's easier for us to say, I was wrong. It's easier for me to say, Phil, I'm not in a good space, man. I'm struggling. I need some help. That didn't work out for me. Right. That's what strength is, guys. Right. A lot of us, we learn being resilient. We learned that early. And it wasn't because we wanted to, it was because we had to. Right. We learned survival through the hardship, through absence, through environments where vulnerability did not feel safe. All right. And so now we want to work on increasing our emotional intelligence. My final thoughts here: pressure can either introduce you to your strength, or it's going to expose the places you still need healing.
Right on.
And we don't become resilient by avoiding pressure. We become resilient by learning how to face the pressure without abandoning ourselves, without losing ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that, Doc?
Say that again.
Can you
Can you
repeat
repeat
that?
that?
I said that we do not become resilient by avoiding pressure. We become resilient by learning how to face pressure without losing ourselves or without abandoning ourselves.
Mm. Right,
That's
right.
good.
So, my final question, guys, can you keep going without losing your peace, without losing your emotional health, without losing your identity, and without losing the people that you love? Because surviving is one level, but becoming whole while under pressure, that's a whole different kind of strength. And that's the place that we want to get to.
Right on.
That's another 2 hours.
Yeah. So I'm done, gentlemen. Any questions, comments?
I got a comment.
Yes, sir.
To go with what you said with emotional intelligence, it's I like to think it as being, if you're a strong man is not feeling something, is being a strong man is learning how to handle what you're feeling.
Yes,
That's
sir.
emotional intelligence.
Yes, sir.
You know, you're not running from it. You stepping into it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think realizing you don't have to do it alone. We all think
Yes,
it's
sir.
weakness, but it's a strength.
Right. Yes, sir. Hmm.
And when you make the comment about can you do this now? Long time ago, you tried to do it on your own. Now you can do it now because if you have to have some dialogue with some people that actually the biggest thing is that having people around you that really genuinely care about who you are and where you're going. Okay. And when you have that, when you actually have that, as a man, you know, all the decisions that you have ever made, you know, you can just have some type of dialogue to see if you're heading the right direction. Somebody's probably has experience or experienced the same thing you're going through. And I just think that, you're out there alone, when you're alone, like when you're out there by yourself making decisions, your mental capacity is being tested. Okay. And you're frustrated when it doesn't go well. Pressure is actually a form of adversity. That's how I look at it, and we're going to have adverse times. And the questions, in fact, that there's going to be some things we can get through our own, but when we get to those big things in our life, whether it's race, relationships, health, or whatever, having a place with a platform you can put it out there and share it with people, and they know that you really genuinely care, takes a whole lot of burden off of you. Okay. And I just think that is somewhere I was there, I was there, and I'm glad I'm not there anymore. And I think the reason I cannot get that won't go back is because of the brotherhood that I have and intimate brotherhood we have and in this group here. So I just think that we can all learn from each other as we continue to move forward. And I thank you, Dr. Alcorn, for the second time coming to see us. Okay.
Bless you.
It's an honor.
Emotion.
We got a question from Deacon Flores.
Yeah, thanks. What I was liking to say is that this is a situation within all of us on this platform, is that the the going through all of these situations, the going through overcoming fear, a lot of it has to do with our relationship with God and our faith in God growing to the point whereas we know that without a shadow of a doubt that God is going to carry us through whatever we're going through. Uh, it's painful a lot of times because a lot of times we want to depend on our flesh. A lot of times we want to depend on what we want to go. But when we make that transition to the point where we surrender it everything and we say, God, no matter what, I don't understand what I'm going through, but I know that some kind of way you're going to get us through this thing. That's at the point where we overcome all of this fear and all of this pain and a lot of things that we've gone through before were I mean, I don't like where I was, the old me that I was, but I thank God for the lessons that He let me learn, allowed me to learn through all of these stupid mistakes I made. It helped us to be who we are now. And now I'm at the point where I look back on some of the things where I should have been dead, I should have been incarcerated, and I know that it was God. And all of it, I bet everybody on here can say, to look back on situations that that it would had to have been God to have gotten us through those situations. And the more we face these hardships, knowing that it's got to be God. God, you got to be the one to get me through. Even the easy situations, give it to Him. And I've gotten to the point now. I still make a lot of stupid mistakes. Anybody knows me knows that. And I get to the point where I just say, "Well, God,
I can't wait to see how you gonna get me through this one because I don't see it. I don't see the end. Ain't nowhere in the world I see it, but I know that you're gonna get me through. So I just can't wait. I'm just gonna enjoy the ride. And each and every time he gets us through this thing. So I think we got to keep in mind that, yeah, we've got to face those fears. But yes, we got to learn from the lessons that we had from where we've gone through, all the pain and stuff we got to, but we got to face those fears knowing that no matter what we get hit with, no matter how much we hurt, it's God that's going to carry us through this thing. So bring it on. Because we know my God is bigger than what you got to come at me. So let's go. That's all I had to say.
Thank you,
Appreciate you,
sir.
Deacon Flores. Thank you.
If I could just kind of piggyback on what the deacon just said, your thoughts are pretty much in line with mine. Um, I used to be really angry, man. Angry for silly stuff, angry for no good reason, just angry, just mad. Could just get mad at the drop of a hat, angry. Um, but when I became my strongest is when I submitted to God. When I showed my weakness versus how strong I could be, angry and everything, and just submitting to Him, my relationship with Him has grown. Um, I don't let the small things bother me so much. And like we've always, everyone has said at one time or another, this platform has definitely helped. Having, my brothers as accountability partners, being able to sit on this call and look at each one of y'all, it's almost like y'all look at me in my face saying, hey, man, you can do it, steady the course. But I just know when my wife was sick, man, I could have just been angry at the whole world. But at that moment, I knew I had to submit to God, and because there was nothing I could do. I couldn't save her life. I couldn't do an operation. I couldn't give her any cure. But knowing that God could lay his hand on her and heal her, that he could heal me, that he could guide me through that situation, man, that's strength.
Right.
Being able to trust in God, knowing what he can do. So just wanted to share that. And thank you, brother Alcorn. I call you Corn, so I'm going to keep it
Yes, sir.
100. Thank you, Corn, for
Yes, sir.
coming back again, man. As
Yes,
always,
sir.
you share more insight than we even think of sometimes. So really appreciate you. You know, love seeing your face. I thought we was gonna be able to break bread with you the other week, but Rick
Yeah,
told me he
they
had to kind of change your calendar.
yeah, they switched it up and sent me to I believe DC instead of it was either DC or I just got back from LA. So they changed it up on me.
Well, Rick said he was gonna take us to a nice steakhouse when you do come. Don't worry about it. We got you.
Okay. All
Got
right.
you.
All right.
Love you,
Yeah.
brother.
Hey man, I love you all. Thank y'all for allowing me to come back again. I'll show y'all the certificate that came.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes,
so I
sir.
appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
we
Yeah, man.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
What it's all
Anybody
about.
else have any last question for Dr. Antionne Alcorn tonight, man? We thank you so much for being on the call and just giving your insight, man. I mean, it really helps us identify with some of those things and that's been going on in our life. And man, you know, this week I probably cried more than any other week I can think of, Dr. Alcorn. And it's just been mentally tough for me. And when I went into the doctor's office, last Friday, man, and they gave me a catheter to wear for 5 days. Just seeing it
Hmm.
and knowing um, what I had to go through, really, it was challenging, right? And so when I got to work and I told my manager about it, and he said, well, you ain't the only one. And it put things in perspective for me. And it just really um, made me realize that there's more men out here
Mm-hmm.
that are going through things, and that this is just my testimony to help somebody else get
Yeah.
through it,
Right.
because it's plenty other men. I mean, we got 25 on this call, but just to think of the number of men that are out there going through things that don't have the type of support that we do.
Right.
It can really do something to your mental.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
You
They have
know,
in 2018 I started feeling bad, and I woke up one morning, and my throat was hurting real bad, and I went to rub my throat, and I felt a knot. Like, man, go to the doctor. So they tell me tumors, and you can imagine everything else that they said. And I can remember leaving the hospital and sitting in my car and just crying like a baby. And I called my wife and told her what they said. But ended up having surgery and everything. They removed one of the tumors. The other one is still in me. Been there since 2018. Um, but thank God that I'm still growing, still going. So life happens to all of us. But as the brother said, God will see us through. Yeah. He will
yeah,
see us
man.
through. He will take care of us. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I always say, man, if you feel like crying, let it go. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Crying is a way of cleansing the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the scriptures says that God, He bottles up our tears, right? And so, but I always say, allow yourself to feel what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Sit
yeah,
in it, feel it. Yeah.
Get it out.
Yes, sir.
Out, man.
yeah.
No doubt.
Appreciate that. All right. Well, fellas, if nobody else had anything, um, you know what, man? I want to ask one of our new attendees to pray us out tonight. So, Johnny Walker,
Medicine
do you
time.
mind praying us out tonight, sir?
No, it'd be my pleasure. First of all, I want to say that this was very therapeutic, very needed. Um, and I think you touched a lot of places, Doctor, that was just germane for this day and this time and this age. There are a lot of things that I'll be thinking about that you put on the table. You did a very wonderful, impactful, insightful job. I mean, you went through this like a surgeon. I mean, you were surgical, and it was good stuff. All right.
Thank you,
So
sir.
thank you, sir. Father, we come to you right now in the mighty, matchless, marvelous name of Jesus. And I thank you for every heart that was in attendance tonight, Father. You created us for such a time as this, and it's not by happen chance. It's not by circumstance. It's not by luck or any of that stuff that all 25 of these men were in attendance tonight. There is something that you presented through the speaker, something that we are to take with us, Father, and that we are to change because we're resilient men. We are to pause, adapt, Father, and grow. We know that everything about you continues to go forward, just like you spoke light into existence. So we as men will continue to not only go forward, Father, but to grow forward. So I thank you for this great group of individuals. I pray, Father, we know that iron sharpens iron, and that we continue to sharpen each other. We continue to feel for each other, and to be a blessing unto each other, and to speak goodness in the lives of each other, and to pray for each other, Father, and to believe and stand in faith for each other. You are a good God. You are a great God. You are a perfect God. And we know, Father, you created this atmosphere so that we can take advantage of it, so that we, Father, can be better men tomorrow, better fathers tomorrow, better Christians tomorrow, better Americans tomorrow, better co-workers tomorrow, better siblings. Whatever you've called us to do in this life, we know that we can always get better when we keep you at the forefront. So I thank you again for the transparency, the vulnerability, the receptiveness of every individual. And I pray your best blessings over their lives. And until we meet again, we'll give you all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise. And of course, in the name of Jesus that we pray. And if you gentlemen agree with that prayer, you would say, Amen.
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 Thank you,
Amen.
sir.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Hey, fellas, it's been a great call, man. Thank y'all so much for joining us. And until next time, man, we meet again on Thursday. Y'all
Yes,
have a
sir.
great night,
Amen.
man. Appreciate
Good
y'all.
night.
Thanks for everything.
Bless.
All right.
Peace.
Peace,
Peace.
fellas.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace,
Amen.
brothers.
All right.